Hi, my name is Hamish Daly. Today I'm talking about presence, men and presence, and in general, why do men struggle with being present? Let's start with the definition of presence. Okay, I'm here. I'm here with you, I'm here with me, I'm here with us. I can actually hear your words, not just what I think you're saying or my interpretation of what you're saying, but I can hear what you are saying. I've got a sense of what's going on for you behind the words. I'm engaged, I'm curious, and I'm available. I'm here. I'm here. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about the kids. I'm not thinking about anything else, right? I'm here and I'm in this moment and I'm here with us. I think that's a good enough definition of presence. Also useful, what presence is not, right? I'm not waiting for you to stop speaking so I can start speaking. I'm not devising, designing, coming up with my explanations, my defenses, my justifications for what I did or why I did what I did. Right? Inside or outside, I'm not judging you, and you don't have the sense that I'm judging you. Right? And I'm not reactive. That's not to say I'm not impacted and I don't get affected by what's happening, but I'm not reactive in a sharp way. So why do some of us men struggle to be present? Let's start with the cultural sanctions on how men are supposed to be. And these cultural sanctions, what we get from our family, from school, from parents, from teachers, from role models, but like culture, celebrities, politicians, people with a large presence in the culture. There's overt messages, the ones that are spoken, but there's also the covert messages that we take on. And we internalize what I'm calling unspoken agreements. There's an agreement in the culture about what men shouldn't be, what they're allowed to be and what they're not allowed to be. Be emotionless. Don't be afraid. Don't be sad. Don't be sensitive. All of these can be summarized as man up, pull your socks up. Right? And I know we get other messages, but the dominant messages are often these, or similar to these, or have the end result of, the way to be a man is to be stoic, stay cool, be calm, don't overreact. Right, so that leads us to be on guard. There's a version of manhood. It's out there somewhere. It's not coming from me. It's coming from outside. And I've got to manage the gap between what's going on in here and what I know is expected of me. And we know that if we let what's inside of us out, that can be dangerous, right? We might get shamed, we might be belittled, subtle attacks on us, and we'll probably attack ourselves as well. If we're honest about what's going on, we might get met with advice, or any number of responses that subtly gaslight us. It shouldn't be like that. Are you all right, mate? Yeah, tell me about it. That happened to me too, and it was worse than, or at least you've got this or that. Right, ways that gets minimized. Right, and so from that we learned to keep it inside because it doesn't get met accurately or in a way that feels good or does any good. As a result, many of us have a lifetime of unexpressed emotions we haven't had outlets for. our grief, our rage, our fear, our love, our innocence, our joy, our wonder. All of these suppressed over time. Anger can be one of the emotions that me and I are allowed to feel. The other ones are often off the table in a friend group or in a family or in a workplace or in a community area with sports teams, right? Very often a very narrow range of acceptable emotions, which are mostly emotionless, right? Except maybe anger. Right, when I've got all of this that I'm suppressing, denying, I've turned off, I might feel dead inside, I can't be present with somebody else, right? Because I'm actively avoiding and denying, even though I don't know it, I'm actively avoiding and denying what's really going on inside, because that's what we learned to do. Right? We learn to suppress and deny our emotions, and so we're managing that. And as you can imagine, as you know for yourself, I'm sure, either from yourself or people around you, the amount of bandwidth it takes to keep a lid on this stuff, right? To keep it suppressed is massive, huge amount of bandwidth. More bandwidth is taken up when I'm trying to manage my expectations, trying to manage the gap between what I understand is expected of me as a man or as a father or as a friend. When I'm trying to manage that, what I believe are the expectations or know the expectations and what's really going on. And often there's a huge space between those two. Right? So I'm managing that gap in order to stay safe. And that takes a massive amount of bandwidth as well. It also creates a lot of dissonance, right? And that dissonance is painful, super painful, right? How can I be with you when there's this gap between who I am and how I think I'm allowed to be or supposed to be, and here's you sitting across from me needing something that I've never had, that I desperately crave and I don't know how to give. Right? Anybody who is in pain is going to struggle to be present with others, regardless of the context. Giving to get, right? If we're having a conversation and it's a real conversation, it's a bit deeper than perhaps is normal. Maybe I'm listening to you because I want you to listen to me. I'm giving you the thing that I desperately crave. And so I've signed you up to an agreement that you don't even know about. Right? But the agreement that I'm running is like, I'm doing it for you, therefore you'll do it for me. Right? This is also not presence. Right? Because there's an expectation that's sitting in the fabric of the connection. Right? I'll do it so that I can get. Right? I've made you party to that agreement, even though you never signed up for it, and it's part of what's going on. Like I say here, nice, very present. Right? Sarcasm font. We're in that, in a time like this, we're in that, it gets very murky. The expectation is there, it's not spoken, we both sense it and feel it. We don't have the language or the skills to speak to it, and so it just sits there like a ticking something or other. Yeah, it's similar to what I spoke of before. It takes a lot of bandwidth to manage the gap between our imported expectations of being a man, like that have become our own. This is what a man is. And there's a yearning or a craving or a need for human connection, right? And the expectation that we've taken on around what it is to be a man doesn't really allow for that, right? And so there's a big gap there as well, and a lot of dissonance. I'm getting these like mixed messages from outside. This is what's okay and what's allowed, and from inside, this is what I need. Right, but of course that message isn't going to be clear. This is what I need. It's going to be a mess of emotions and sensations and urges and impulses. Right, and obviously when I'm trying to manage that, I can't be present with you. I touched on this one before. Right, I'm actually craving. I'm craving somebody to offer me what I'm offering you. Right? There's a part of it that's just part of us that just wants to be in truth. I just want to be able to be honest about what's going on. And when I say be in truth, many, many layers to what that is. But when I've got this there's a part of me, or a massive part of me that's not been seen, not been heard, not been met, and I'm bringing that to our connection, both of us are gonna experience that. Right? Even though I'm trying and I want to be present and there for you, there's a whole undercurrent, there's a whole part of what's happening that isn't spoken to, that's been unaddressed, and that has an energy and a life of its own that's coming through into the connection. Right? So again, how can I be available to what's happening now when I'm managing all this stuff from the past, either consciously or unconsciously? So how do we support men to be more present? How do we support men to be more present? What does presence do? Like, why do we want to be present? Like, what does it do or bring for you in your life when there are other people who are deeply, if you're fortunate enough to have this experience, when others are deeply present to you? Right? The answer for me is connection. Connection and a felt sense of a connection that goes all the way through. Right? Somebody sees me and knows me and I'm safe here. I can be who I am or who I think I am. And then through that process, because when we begin and I start, this is who I am, we realize, man, that's not who I am, that's who I learned how to be. That's what I was taught to be or shown to be, or that's some part of me that came on board when I needed it to keep me safe, right? It's an adaptation to a situation that no longer exists. So when we're present with each other, we allow more and more of who we are to emerge. And that's a benefit. Feeling safe, amazing, feeling seen, incredible, heard, met. Connection, like it's literal life blood. So how we support men to be more present, take the pressure off them. Right, take the pressure off the man to be present when he's not able to. Right, so that's kind of like being with what's real. Appreciate where he is at and what he is struggling with. Now, depending on your relationship with this man, that might be too challenging. However, if it's within your gift, if it's possible and available, this guy, he can't be present with me, not because he's a dick or an asshole or he doesn't love me, or he doesn't care. And I don't know if any of those are true or not. But it's not a personal failing, right? That he can't be present. He's struggling. He's struggling, and it's likely that he's in pain. Right, so recognizing this can help take the pressure off. Right? Pressure to be a certain way when I'm not naturally that way creates resistance. Again, straight facts. Notice your own frustration and annoyance with the man who's not present and how they manifest in the situation. Right, and how that puts pressure on him. Yeah, potentially. The invitation here is to notice your own response to the lack of presence, and be with that. Right, in order to take the pressure off. Because once again, if I'm being pressured to be what I'm not or not capable of, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. And obviously and ultimately the big one is the man needs to heal his pain. Right, and learn that it's safe to be who he is. And we can't learn this stuff through mental exercise. You can't just tell a man, hey man, you're safe. He needs to know it. He needs to feel it. Right, all the way through. And he also needs, while feeling that stuff, sometimes to be able to access the courage to go the places. Because I might say, yeah, I feel safe, but I'm only talking true here. Right? I'm not talking the truth about a deeper level or a deeper level or a deeper level. Right? And when we belittle or shame or attack or judge or get annoyed or frustrated, those are not things that create safety. And 100%, I'm not saying that like you listening to this or you're the one to create the safety for your partner. None of my business. What I am saying is that for a man to feel safe enough to even be able to access his true feelings can take a lot. Right? And it's not up to me to tell you that you feel safe. It's up to you to decide whether you feel safe. Safe enough. Safe enough. And don't be surprised if it takes a long time. I'm just remembering, when I was little, I would confide in siblings. Stuff that was, like I knew it was, it was stuff I needed to get off my chest. And I knew it was dangerous. And then that would get shared and used as a weapon to attack me. Right? When we've got this kind of embodied, like we've got this experience encoded into us, your men will be suspicious and cynical, right? In order to keep themselves safe. We can't push those barriers down, right? Creating safety so the man himself can emerge. It takes a lot to build safety, and it can take just a moment to break it. I think this slide is kind of self-explanatory, right? It takes a lot. Or it can take a lot for a man to say, I'm fucking hurting. Because that messaging, and it's continuous if we consume media at all, movies, TV, news, social media. Like it's very, very strong. Just going to see if I can darken myself up a little, go a bit blacker, because that contrast with the purple is a bit gross. It's a little better. Right, so these messages from external, we internalize them, they go deep. They go deep. It's not even like they go deep. They can be inseparable from our identity as a man. Right, so it's not like I could just like cut through to a layer and there it all sits. like these beliefs and attitudes, they're wrapped around the very fabric of us sometimes. And like I say, like creating that safety is not something that a lot of us know how to do. And in the early stages, you may not be able to provide that safety for your man. When I say your man, I mean like your partner, your friend, your father, your son, whoever. And when you get to experience the kind of safety it takes, then you start to know. You start to know what it takes and get an appreciation for the level to which men prefer to hold what's going on inside than burden others with it. Okay, to summarize, I really don't like the color of this slide, but it's too late now, it's done. If your men aren't able to be present with you, whether it's in pain or pleasure or something else entirely, it's highly likely that he is suffering and is unsupported or feels unsupported in that. Right, and this isn't an attack or blaming anybody, simply stating what's likely to be the case. And if a man is open to support, and if he is where that support comes from, and if that support is up to scratch, what options we have when the men in our lives aren't open to being supported, that's a whole other conversation, right? I really just wanted to talk about what I understand from my own process and having sat in a circle with a lot of men, been on trainings with maybe hundreds of men now. I've been privileged to be part of their processes. They uncover, and myself as well, deeper and deeper and deeper layers of suppression and repression of what's really going on and how that's impacted my ability to be present, right? To be available, to be vulnerable, and be able to connect with others. Yeah, it's not an opportunity to attack a man. It's an opportunity to appreciate, to gain understanding. What are our men going through? What are our men experiencing? Because when a man isn't present, it's costing him a lot. Like, he won't know it, he won't recognize it often, but it's costing him a lot. Alright, that's kind of the end. If you want support or help with any of this, if you are a man and you want to be more present for your children, for your partners, for the people in your life, and you know that there's ancient buried stuff that's in the way, reach out, get in touch. We can do this work together. I can support you to find those parts of yourself that are crying out for attention, want to be in connection, want some love and some care, some support. All right, peace out. I hope those colours weren't too obnoxious. They were kind of gross. Learning for next time. All right, thanks so much for your time, your attention. I'm Hamish Daly. See you later.